Why has Genshin Impact grown from 0 to 39.3 million players in just half a year? Why?
Why? Why?
Hi guys and welcome to Gaming Watcher. My name is Rosen and in this video I'll go into depth about why I think Genshin Impact has been so well received in the gaming community. What is it about this anime gacha MMO RPG that keeps people, myself included, playing no matter how grindy it gets? In my analysis of the game here, I'm going to take a look at the game mechanics that they use to hook us, how the visuals and sounds play into this, and last, I have some theories that you might find very interesting. Now let's get into it. Game mechanics. We all play these kinds of games for the loot. That's why they're called looter shooters and looter slashers and so on and so forth, because the loot is the most important part of the game. Why do we like loot so much? Well, actually it's not so much the loot itself that we like, it's the thrill of hunting down great loot. Actually, what we love is the grind. Let me explain this. By the way, this is not just my own thoughts. Everything I lay out here comes from the book Getting Gamers, The Psychology of Video Games and Their Impact on the People Who Play Them, which I read just recently because I'm a huge nerd. Anyways, the reason why we like to hunt for great loot is that it triggers some very specific psychological systems in us. There is a theory about what motivates people to do things called the Self-Determination Theory, or SDT. Not STD. SDT. It was developed by clinical psychologists Edward L. Deci and Richard M. Ryan. According to this theory, the three natural needs that must be fulfilled in order to reach a person's potential are competence, which is the ability to control outcomes and experience mastery of a task or a skill; autonomy, which is the independence from conflicting control or influence, the urge to be in control of life or a playscape and act accordingly; and relatedness, the desire to interact and connect with others in a caring way. The more a game can play to these three needs, the more it will keep us playing happily. So how does this relate to grinding for loot? It ties into the competence need. This is the need to feel powerful or feel like you're getting better or mastering some skill. When we get loot that makes our characters better, we can feel it in the gameplay because now we do more damage, or we heal faster, or we take less damage. We are therefore more powerful, and that feels like an achievement. Our brains really like that. It feels like an even greater achievement if it wasn't easy to get. That is why we have the grind. If the developers just gave us all of the rewards we wanted without any effort, we wouldn't feel like it was that big of an achievement. To be motivating, the goal has to be difficult but reachable. This feeling of something being achievable is helped along in a big way by progress bars. Progress bars that let you know how close you are to completing the task will keep you motivated for longer because you can see the goal being achieved slowly but surely. That's why we have grind in the form of fetch quests with very doable objectives, but that requires patience and perseverance to complete. Another system of getting loot is by random drops. This triggers a system in our brains that want to predict how to achieve rewards. You know these studies with animals where they teach a rat to press a button to get food, for example? This is exactly the same as a loot drop. Genshin Impact very quickly teaches you that when you do certain things like completing challenges to open a chest, you get rewards. This in itself will have us doing this again and again because we are wired to want rewards and to predict how to get them, so having very clear actions that we can do to obtain rewards tickles that particular part of our brain. But when the loot is random, that messes up the system that wants to predict how to get rewards, and getting amazing rewards once in a while makes us want to come back. First of all, to experience getting that amazing reward again, but also to try and figure out if there is a system to getting these amazing rewards consistently. This is why Genshin Impact has us grinding for loot. You know what to do to obtain primal gems and ascension materials, but getting really amazing loot drops is totally random, like wishing, for example. Sometimes you get something truly awesome. Most of the time you get decent drops, and sometimes you get bad drops. but the excitement in anticipating what is going to drop and the rush of actually getting lucky and getting something good is why we keep coming back. Upgrading. Now we know why we love the loot so much and why we bother to grind for it, but another big part of Genshin Impact is upgrading. You can upgrade and ascend almost everything in the game, and to do that you need materials that you can get by playing the game. Upgrading ties into several things. First of all, upgrading your gear to make your characters more powerful ties into the feeling of being competent or powerful. When your characters are more powerful, you can complete more difficult tasks more efficiently, and that makes you feel like you have progressed on your character, and that makes playing the game feel rewarding. Another thing about upgrading is that it makes sure that you are always progressing on something. If you play the game, you will obtain some materials that can be used to upgrade something. That's almost a guarantee. With so many different materials and currencies in the game, you're always close to some upgrade or progression that if you just played a little more, you would get. So this ties into our wish to complete objectives and earn rewards again. Then there is the social aspect. Genshin Impact is a game that you can play with your friends. This system of upgrading and the difficulty of earning upgrade materials constantly rising means that you have something to show off to your friends when you play with them. This is a very important part of achievement. Also, when doing activities with your friends where you have to work together, you feel more important because you're helping out the group. This is yet another primal trigger in us humans. We're group animals and we want to contribute to the group. When we have done difficult things to earn awesome rewards that make us more powerful and we can then fill an important role in a group, that is something that make our brains spray out dopamine in insane amounts. That is why it feels so good. When you start to look at it like this, you can kind of see how the entire game is structured around these mechanisms. And it's not a bad thing in my opinion, it just makes it a good game. Events. Now, events are used to induce a sense of urgency. Take advantage of this before it's gone, you know? This is another thing that we have a hard time handling. The risk of missing out on some great advantage. It's actually the exact same concept as when something is on sale. You might not have bought the thing had it just been at its regular price, but when the price is lowered in a limited time period, you feel like if you don't buy it now, you would be missing out on the good price. The same thing happens when there is a double XP event or something like that. You feel like the time that you invest in playing during this event will be better spent because you will earn more XP for the same activities. And that's absolutely right, your time is better spent that way. Just like it is correct that if you buy a thing at a lower price, you actually save money. Well, assuming that you would have bought it anyway, that is. But what also happens with events is that they keep you coming back to check if there's an event going on. So when you're not playing the game, you might think about checking if an event is going on, and then you might end up playing anyway. See, this is a mechanic that makes you feel FOMO, the fear of missing out. What if there was an event and you didn't know about it? You could lose precious loot or XP. Better check in to see what's going on. So this is how Genshin Impact captures your attention and keeps it. The game is very well developed and uses these systems in very particular ways to keep the game fun to play. I want to stress here that this is not a critique. It's not like I want the game developers to stop trying to manipulate us into playing more. I think that is their job and you can't blame them for doing so. Like I said, it basically just means that it's a good game, that people want to play it more. But the mechanics alone are not enough. Visuals and audio also play a huge role in making all of this work, so let's take a look at that. Visuals and sound. Genshin Impact looks great. I said this in my review of the game, and when I show it to people, that is also one of the first things that they notice. I like the style. Wow, it looks better than I thought. Are comments that I've gotten from friends I've shown the game to, and there is something about that also makes you want to come back and play the game. So first of all, just looking at beautiful things make us more happy. That is a fact. So the bright colors, the smooth character models, and the colorful nature of the world simply just puts you in a good mood. But the more interesting part of that is the visuals when you interact with some of these systems and mechanics that we talked about before. Because if you notice, there are way more shine on the rewards parts of the visuals. Every time something is earned as a reward, it will be followed by popping, shining, light, bright colors, fast movement, and so on. This is to make it feel significant compared to other things in the game. If we go back to the rat experiment mentioned earlier, this is the equivalent of making a little lamp light up every time the rat does the correct action. The rat will start to associate the light with the reward, and so it helps the rat to understand that it did something right, which resulted in the reward. When you complete a quest and rewards pop up on your screen and you see your adventure rank progress bar go up, this is the game giving you a sign that you did something right and therefore you are rewarded. Our brains like that because it means that we can predict what we need to do to obtain those rewards in the future. Visuals and sound combined also just makes everything feel way more impactful. I know that from making videos. If I edit in an explosion with no sound effect, it will seem very flat and boring, but as soon as you have the sound and the visual combined, the feeling changes completely. So combining the visuals and the sounds make earning rewards feel impactful. You can almost feel it in your body when all of these animations and sounds pop up on the screen and you've earned rewards. You feel good. But there's another layer to this that I want to get into, and this is where I get into my own little theory about why this game is successful and why it feels so good to play. I think that the people who worked on this game loved doing so. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but as an entrepreneur and content creator, I know that the love you have for a specific project translates into the feeling the end user gets. When you watch a movie, you can feel if the people who made the movie had fun doing so. The same goes for music. In any creative endeavor, an important part of producing something good is having fun and loving the project. How do I see this in Genshin Impact? I see it first of all in the level of detail. The world feels complete. You can barely move anywhere without puzzles or challenges appearing. There are small secrets, NPCs with stories to tell, or animals anywhere you go. To me, this means passion. Making something like this very detailed is maybe one of the most challenging things you can do because it requires you to have so many original ideas. You can't just reuse the same stuff over and over again. If you're not passionate about the project, you're not going to go through the grueling work of doing that. Another thing is the animation. There are so many details in the animation of the characters, like small things they do when they stand still or just their animations during combat. You can kind of see some humor in some of the animations, hinting at the fact that the developers had fun when making them. To put humor into a creative project, you have to have fun while making it, otherwise it won't work. So it's as simple as that, guys. I think the makers of Genshin Impact loved making the game, and that is a big reason why the game feels so good. And then on top of that, they're manipulating us like rats. Well, as always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.